Dr. Greenberg's live global travel update is presented to you by Colette. Discover the world. Guided travel since 1918.
Hello, everybody. Happy almost Valentine's Day, Friday the 13th, I should mention, here with another global travel update from Los Angeles, and specifically Marina del Rey. Hope you guys are having a great time where you happen to be. So much to talk about, but I just wanted to start by just saying a follow-up to what I said last week about my opinion on Valentine's Day. I am not taking my wife out to dinner tomorrow night. I'm taking her out to dinner a week from tomorrow in Chicago for a wonderful romantic dinner. We will not be standing in line. We will not be underserved. We'll have a great experience, and we will not overpay. But for those of you who are going out tomorrow, vaya con Dios, have a happy Valentine's Day. Please remember, it still is a conspiracy of chocolate, champagne, and rose growers. You know it, and I know it. Okay, moving right along. I'm going to start today with a little bit of levity. This video is real. Excuse me, this video is real, and it actually happened in Moscow. You know, we talk about first-time flyers. You can't beat this one. It happened. A woman was checking in for the flight. She'd never flown before, so she put her bag on the belt to get tagged. The bag went ahead of her, and then she got on the belt. Take a look. I don't know if they found her or if she was rerouted to Cleveland. We do not know, but I just wanted to start this Friday off with that. Okay, now let's get serious. On Tuesday this week, we woke up to some very ridiculous news and surprising news that the FAA had suddenly shut the airspace down over a 10-mile corridor over the city of El Paso, Texas, from 0 feet up to 18,000 feet. It shut the whole thing down and announced it was shutting it down for 10 days. The airlines went nuts. Travelers went nuts. Nobody knew what was going on. And the story that sort of leaked out, which, by the way, it was not true, was they were shutting it down because Mexican drug cartels were flying drones over the border. No, we were not under attack. As it turned out, far from it. This is a turf war between the FAA and our good friends at the U.S. Border Patrol. Apparently, the Border Patrol borrowed a top-secret laser gun from the Defense Department that is supposed to be able to shoot down drones. They never told anybody about it. They never told the FAA about it. And they just went out there and started trying to shoot something down. Well, anytime you do that over airspace that's controlled, the FAA's attention, especially when they don't doing it. And what did they do? They shut the whole thing down. What was the Border Patrol doing? They were having fun. They went out there to try to shoot down stuff. You know what they ended up shooting down? Party balloons. How much money was wasted on that? Left hand not talking to the right hand. And sometimes, you know, in government, the left hand doesn't even talk to the left hand. So about 5 hours after the restriction was imposed, it was lifted. But what are the lessons there? Guys, what are you doing? Anyway, just thought I'd let you know what really happened there in El Paso. Now the airspace is open. Everybody's fine. And I'm sure that gun has been properly returned to the Defense Department, and got a spanking on that. Big spanking. Okay. Speaking of a big spanking, this is an update on what we talked about last week. Southwest Airlines new boarding procedures with 8 separate boarding groups, assigned seating, premium seating with an upsell, coach seating in the back, cramped in. It's getting a little crazy on 2 levels. One, nobody wants to check bags on Southwest anymore because they don't want to pay the money. So they're doing everything they can to put it through the conveyor belt at security and take it to the gate. And what's happening at the gate? The gate agents are going, oh no, we have too many bags here. We're going to have to gate check them. But they're gate checking them for free. Get the scam? So the people who paid to check their bags are now getting angry, watching other passengers getting them for free. And the craziest thing of all, these are carry-on bags. And the overhead bins in many cases are wide open, but Southwest is still making people check the bags. But we're just getting started. Now, you have an assignment Southwest, a brave new world there because nobody else was ever used to that. They get on the plane, and let's say there are 5 empty seats towards the front. The minute the door closes, everybody tries to move up to those front seats, and now the Southwest Air flight attendants have to become sky cops to tell them, not your seat anymore. You have no freedom to move around the cabin. Your seat is your seat. So it's delaying departure times. It's delaying baggage delivery. And these are the birthing pains of trying to generate revenue in areas where you never generated revenue before. So we'll stay on top of that story. Here's some interesting good news. And it comes at a time when there's nothing but bad news in terms of foreign arrivals to the United States. It's even worse than you think. This week alone, Air Transat, the Canadian carrier, announced it's no longer flying to the U.S. Nobody's flying. WestJet canceling 5 of their flights from Vancouver to the U.S. Nobody's flying. Air Canada reducing their flight schedules to the U.S. Nobody's flying. And we're just started. Germany down 29%. Denmark down 34%. I mean, the numbers go crazy. Even South Korea. And it's not getting any better. Now, I said I was going to start with good news. That's not good news. Not for airlines, not for hotels, not for restaurants, not for retail, not for theme parks, not for rental car companies in this country. So where's the good news? This coincides with the airlines finally getting long-delayed deliveries of new aircraft, which allows them to do what? Announce new routes. Now, last year they announced a lot of them, right? Morocco, Mongolia, Greenland. That's just United. Guess what? United is now the largest transatlantic carrier. They've announced new routes to Split in Croatia. They announced, I have a whole list here. It's crazy. To Bari in Italy, to Porto. Delta Airlines actually doing something that they've been wanting to do for a long time. They're doing nonstop service from JFK to Orange County right here in California on a 757 reconfigured to have flat business class seats, not that crap little 737. So that's nice. Even American Airlines has announced the shortest new international route in history. Miami to Bimini, a distance of 64 miles. But the good news is for us, with all new routes, they have a lot of seats to fill. Now, normally with a new route, you have low introductory fares. But if nobody's flying to begin with, remember, if nobody's flying here, nobody's flying back. A lot of empty seats on both sides of the Atlantic, which means you're going to see introductory airfares that may extend through May. So as they start happening, and they're happening now, jump on them, you'll benefit from it, because if you're a smart traveler, that's what you do. Okay. Now, we just finished in California our shooting here on a 5-part special that we're doing for PBS, part of my hidden series called Hidden Route 66. We're shooting in Illinois, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, California, you name it. We were this week in Needles, in Barstow and San Bernardino, in Rancho Cucamonga, as Mel Blanc used to say for those people who remember the voice of Bugs Bunny, and in Pasadena. And of course, celebrating what? The great American road trip, the car culture that California built as people headed west. And we came across this old commercial with the most unlikely singing host at a time when people actually serviced your car along the route. So enjoy this blast from the past, starring none other than Ethel Merman.
Texaco presents Miss Ethel Merman.
Trust is a must at Texaco. Trust is a must, we know.
You wanna be able to always rely
On the gasoline, motor oil, and products you buy. In everything that we do at Texaco, we're working to keep your trust. Wherever you go at Texaco, trust is a must. So for products you can trust, come on everybody, let's hear it. You can trust your car to the man who wears the star, the big bright Texaco star.
And there you have it. There's no business like show business. Anyway, Ethel Merman for Texaco, folks. Can't make that up. Speaking of not making that up, we talk about all the new routes that are coming out. United now being the largest transatlantic carrier. This blast from the past celebrates, politically incorrect, of course, how United Airlines announced their flight attendants, their stewardesses. Take a look. Can you see that photo? Age, weight, height. And, in those days, if you were married, you might not have a job. If you were overweight, you were grounded. Crazy, right? That was not that long ago. Anyway, just thought we'd share that as well. Now, let's get to some serious stuff. This is the week. We acknowledge a terrible moment in aviation history. It happened on February 12th, 2009. That's 17 years ago yesterday. Colgan Air Flight 3407 from Newark to Buffalo, which crashed, killing all aboard and one person on the ground. I covered that story. It was a horrendous tragedy because it brought into focus commuter airlines flying with major airline logos, but not operating by the major airlines. Flight training procedures for commuter airline pilots, different than mainline pilots, number of hours. In this particular case, the pilot on the plane had failed a number of his recurrent training courses, but they still let him fly. The co-pilot was making less money than a Walmart greeter, couldn't afford to live in Newark, so she was commuting from her home, living at home with her mom in Seattle on a red-eye, jump seating on a FedEx plane so she could make that flight. So she was tired. And then on that particular flight, something happened that any pilot will tell you what to do except this pilot. Ice built up on the wings. They got the stick shaker going, which means you're about to have a stall. Any pilot will tell you that. And what happens when you get that? Every pilot will tell you, put the nose down, increase your power. He pulled up and he went into that stall, and the rest is history. Ironically, the captain who was part of the investigative team who investigated that crash was Jeffrey Skiles, an amazing pilot who otherwise is known as Captain Sully Sullenberger's co-pilot, Miracle on the Hudson. So we worked together on that case, and it called into question FAA training procedures, minimum flight hours, and of course, recurrent training. Here we are 17 years later. I'm not so sure the FAA has implemented that or has stayed with that. There's a huge lobbying effort now, I know, to reduce the number of training hours required to fly. Why would you do that? Economics. It's nothing to do with safety, and that's the problem. Anyway, rule out the lessons learned from Colgan Air Flight 3407. It said Continental on the plane. It said Continental on the tickets. The people who flew that night got Continental air miles, and yet it was operated by Colgan Air with flight standards that were subpar relative to the mainline carrier that they were supposedly representing and flying for, which was Continental. Commuter Airlines, something to look at again, 17 years later. Okay, folks, if you're a baseball fan, spring training coming up. Pitchers and catchers report. And of course, if you're living in Arizona or Florida, it's the best time of the year to go to a game. It's not expensive. It's more intimate. You get to hang out with the players. It's a picnic. And a lot of people are actually focusing their entire travel itinerary around the spring training schedule of all the teams. And it's really well worth it. Go to our website. You'll see that information there about how you can take advantage of some really discounted games with the stars of today and the stars of tomorrow. Now, this is a pet peeve of mine. An airline ticket from Atlanta to Johannesburg on Delta is something like $5,000 in coach and $16,000 in business class. As I've always said, that's not a ticket, that's a Toyota. Why would you spend that kind of money? I won't. And there are airlines out now that are offering discounted business class fares at reasonable prices with reasonably more comfort. Not as much comfort as the longer flights, but enough to get you there. We're talking about Condor. We're talking about Norse. We're talking about La Compagnie. We're talking about French Bee. Check them out also in our newsletter as another alternative, because there's no way you can justify $16,000 for a ticket, even if somebody else is paying for it. It just doesn't ring right. And I hope you agree with me. So you can find on many routes affordable business class fares. All right, let's scroll down here. Say hello to some folks. All right. Linda's saying hi from finally warm Naples, Florida. Yep, see you in Fort Lauderdale. I'll be there. Speaking of that, by the way, before I get to Fort Lauderdale, which will be warmer, I'm going to be in somewhat colder Chicago. That's this coming weekend, meaning a week from tomorrow and a week from Sunday, the 21st and the 22nd. That's the night I'm taking my wife out to dinner, right? In Chicago. I'll be speaking in Chicago. There you have that information, and we'll post it online here where you can get discounted tickets. Come see me. Happy to see you, talk to you, answer your questions, and hang out. It's always a fun time. Jim and Harriet, always in the top 3, checking in from Richmond, Virginia. By the way, Jim and Harriet, I'll be in Richmond this coming week on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm giving a speech at the Educational Travel Conference in Richmond. So now you know where I'm going to be. Paul's saying, greetings from unfrozen Ashland, Virginia. Well, it's about time. Nice to talk to you, Paul. And Mary Louise, good morning from Tempe, Arizona. Sue is saying hello from Bellingham, Washington. Go Hawks. Yes, they ate the Patriots, didn't they? I mean, the Patriots had no offensive line. It was painful to watch. It really was. That game was literally won by 5 or 6 field goals, and they just walked away with it. All right, Camilla saying greetings from Tucson. The place has been front page news all week, actually for almost 2 weeks now. The terrible case of the abduction of Savannah Guthrie's mom. We're obviously staying on top of that. In my days at Newsweek and at NBC and also at CBS, I covered more than my fair share of crimes like this when they didn't have the technology at their disposal that they have now. So there's every reason to hope that the technology they have now will get them a faster resolution to this terrible case. Okay. Gary saying, hi from the NCL breakaway in the North Atlantic, back to New York City after a few nice warm days in the Caribbean. Well, let's hear it for Wi-Fi on Norwegian. Nice to have you check in, Gary. We appreciate that. Melanie saying hi from Miami. Sid saying beautiful, downtown, the city of South Miami. That's Sid. Oh, and Gary added something, which I love based on what I just said about Valentine's Day. He said, I asked my wife to marry me 37 years ago. I love this, on February 13th. So we could always celebrate a day early. Way to go. Good timing. Okay. Nancy says, see you next Saturday in Chicago. You got it, Nancy. Jeff, I got your email about Czechoslovakia. Get ready for an answer for me. We've answered some of those questions, so we'll get back to you on that. Evelyn says, greetings from Denver. I'll also be speaking in Denver later this year. Cody's saying, we knew it was coming after their fuel price contracts expired. We knew what was coming. Let me know. Colleen saying, hey, greetings from San Francisco, where Clydesdales outwit wayward Waymos, like the Seahawks outwit the Patriots. Go Clydesdales. You'll have to explain that. Okay. Do you think international tourism will increase for the nation's 250th birthday? I do not. This is not a situation, I don't believe, where the travel industry can discount their way out of people not wanting to come. I think we've crossed a line here where people just say, I don't want to go through that hassle. I don't want to submit 5 years of my social media. I don't want to spend $250 for a visa and put up a $15,000 bond to guarantee I'm going to go home when I'm done, or everything else that they're looking at. I don't want to have to travel with a burner phone. So when they want to inspect my phone, they don't throw me out if I said something not nice about an administration official. Now, folks, listen carefully. I'm not making a political statement here. I'm making a practical one. This is not how travel works. Travel should be non-political. If you meet the standards for a passport and citizenship to be able to travel with that passport, and you have a visa, or if you need a visa and you get the visa, what's to be able to stop you? You didn't do anything wrong. We are being very short-sighted here. It's costing this country billions of dollars in revenue they'll never recoup. And that's your jobs. And that's prices that can only go up to basically compensate for the loss of revenue. And then what's happening overseas? All the Europeans who were going to come here last summer didn't. They stayed within Europe. So for those of us who did go to Europe, the hotel prices were through the roof because they were already full with Europeans who said, I'm staying in Europe. It's not working out either way you look at it. So it might be a good idea to look at South America, Asia, South Pacific, because right now, Europe is going to be a mess either way you look at it, either inbound or outbound. Now, Will they be airfare sales, like I said? You bet. Can you take advantage of them? Of course. But look at secondary and tertiary cities, because the main cities, London, Paris, Madrid, Rome, Barcelona, those hotels are not going to be discounting at all. They don't need to. They're getting full. All right, Scott saying hello from Chicago, home of the 2026 World Series winning Chicago Cubs. Oh, really? What do you know that I don't know, Scott? We'd love the Cubs to win. Listen, I wanted the Bears to win in that playoff game. They came so close. That last play of the game when he ran the wrong way and still threw a touchdown. Do you remember that? And then he ended up throwing an interception, and we know the end of the story. The Bears. We need the Bears. All right. Paul says there's such a thing as a decent functional neck pillow or support for long-haul flights. Yeah, a lot of them. A lot of them. And usually not the ones they sell at the airport. We'll research that for you, and we'll give you 3 or 4 of our recommendations. Okay? But they do work. I guarantee you. Okay, Robin saying hello from Williamsburg, Virginia, heading to LA for a 54-day round-trip cruise to Australia and all points in between. Hey, take me. I'm looking to get out. I love it. All right. Michael is saying greetings from sunny Lima, Ohio. We are going to Taipei in June. Anything to warn us about? Yeah, the food's really good. Better Chinese food in Taipei than in Beijing. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Our good friend John Lample, New York City today. John flies more than I do, folks. Flying off to Alassio, Italy tomorrow evening. Respectfully, cold, happy Valentine's Day. Love the pink car. Oh, you saw the pink car. Yeah, that's right. The radio show this week is coming from an iconic historic hotel, the Langham Huntington in Pasadena, California, where I posed in front of their redone Austin pink British cab, all festooned with Valentines. But the Langham Huntington, quite a hotel. It was opened in 1907 as the Huntington and stayed the Huntington for many, many years. People forget that as people moved west, they came by train way before Route 66. Route 66 didn't open until 1926. And when they came by train, the train stopped finally in Pasadena, and that's where they got out, and they overnighted where? At the Huntington. I still have telegrams that my mother kept that I found after she passed from my grandfather to her saying, I'm on the Super Chief, or I'm on the Sunset Limited, getting in at 7:14 tonight at the Huntington. I mean, that's the way it was. Yeah. All right. Scott's saying hello from Jacksonville. Oh, now we just posted the promo for the VIP tickets that you can get for me this Saturday and Sunday in Chicago, as well as the Fort Lauderdale Broward Convention Center the following week. Actually, no, not the following week, the 27th and 28th. Or the 28th and the 1st, excuse me. All right, Kathy's in Naples. Yvette is saying, oh, she's in Las Vegas, New Mexico. Cody's saying, good morning from chilly New York City. Don't we know that? Sue's saying, my birthday is the 16th, so I will celebrate Valentine's as well. On the 16th, no problem. Tomorrow, vaya con Dios. Okay. Ingrid saying, it's not fun to travel in a, well, I'm not going to repeat that. I will just tell you, Ingrid, let's just say it's not fun to travel these days anyway, based on the way the airlines have been behaving. Look, let's be real here. Forget all the commercials, even Ethel Merman singing about gasoline. The bottom line is the airlines now look at most of us, especially when you have 8 different boarding groups on Southwest, like you have on American, United, and Delta. They look at us as self-loading human cargo. Let's be honest, right? We're not looking forward to the flight. We're looking forward to landing. Anytime I land and somebody says to me, did you have a nice flight? I give them a 2-word answer. I landed. I'm alive. Fun. Was I on for the food? No. The pillows? No. The Broadway show tune sung by Ethel Merman, whether at a Texaco station or 35,000 feet? No. I got from point A to point B and I didn't die. Yes. Okay. All right. Let's see how we have here. Oh, it's a Christian in Dallas. Who do we contact to express concerns on how travel is being conducted in the USA? Well, remember, you have elected representatives. There's such a thing as a Senate and House Aviation Committee and a subcommittee. Very easy to find out on Google who the chairman is of that committee, not to mention your own elected representative. But make sure if you're writing a letter, you're not going to just say, I'm upset the way it's being run. Be specific. And by the way, focus first, not on your comfort, not on the food. No, on safety. That's our primary concern. It's not about the food and the champagne. I find it interesting that American Airlines announced this week that in honor of their 100th birthday, they're redoing the food, and I love this, for a limited time only on selected flights where they're going to be carving beef Wellington tableside on the plane. Let me tell you my definition of limited time only. 2 flights, and then we're back to bad chicken. Anyway, you're not there for the food, but if you want to have your voice heard, that's what you do, Christian. Okay. Michael says, how do I feel about zip jet from Tokyo to San Francisco? Decent. Let's get down to a definition of decent. Will your seats be comfortable? No. Will they be spacious? No. Will your plane be on time? There's always hope. But remember, ZipJet doesn't have a huge fleet. If your flight for any reason isn't working that day, they're not wheeling it out another plane. You're not going. So if you can be flexible in your schedule and BYO food, not cooked food, please, just fruits and nuts and things that, are not going to smell up the cabin, and not to mention those neck pillows we're going to recommend, then you got a shot. Okay, but I don't want to oversell it. Okay, Kim is saying, I got a great deal for Sardinia on the coast of Smeralda, August 23rd to September 1, on the entire trip, staying in a beautiful hotel on the water. Okay, and you booked in advance. Dawn saying hi from Cincinnati. Judith is saying hello from sunny Wisconsin. Yes, and she's headed to Scottsdale to watch the Brewers spring training. Exactly. That's what I would do. Okay, watching from Omaha, I arrived from Atlanta from an international flight, and the CPB experience was just facial recognition, and there was no line. It took all of 5 seconds to get through. Yes, listen, the CPB and, the CBP and TSA should get a little bit of a shout out because they're finally catching up with biometrics, something that the Europeans are way ahead of us on. And when you can do that fast, it's great. What they're experimenting with now, which they should have done long ago, is, I'm going to use your example. If I'm on an international flight going to Atlanta, the presumption is I've already cleared security in that international city, got on the plane, flew to Atlanta to a sterile area where I'm still within the boundaries of the airport. I haven't cleared anything. I'm not getting my bags because my bags are being connected, if we do it the right way, to my other flight, right? So why shouldn't I just go right through? Why do I have to go through security again? This makes no sense. Either the security is up to speed in the international city or it's not. Now remember, the DHS for years has graded foreign airports as to whether or not they basically comply with U.S. security standards. And if they don't, then you know what? You're going through security. But guess what? Economics speaks louder than anything, and 95% of those airports now comply. So they're doing a test on flights from Australia that land in LA and continue on, where you don't have to go get your bags and you go right to your connecting flight without having to clear security, go out, come back in, and schlep. So the technology is there, as is the CT scanning machines that they've already installed at all UK airports, especially Heathrow, that do what? Allow you to bring your lotions and potions and liquids. The old 311 rule doesn't apply there anymore, which destroys the entire conspiracy of pricing from airport retailers. You can bring your own stuff from home, right? The machines can now distinguish between a Diet Coke and Semtex, as they should. By the way, are those machines available in the US? They are. Is the technology tested and proven? It is. What happened? Why aren't they at US airports? Because the TSA, in its infinite slowness, never budgeted for it. And under federal procurement laws and rules, they have to put in for an RFP. Then companies have to bid. Then they go into a committee meeting that they never leave. Then they come out and maybe approve it. Then they got to go seek the budget. Assuming that's approved, then they have to make the order. Then they have to build the machines. Then they have to install them. They have to train the agents. We're talking 3 years away. The UK just did it 3 weeks ago. What did we not get the memo on? Right? Okay. There you go. Now, since we're continuing here, let's talk about, a couple of questions you guys sent in earlier this week. Let me get to that right now. I love this. What I talked about last week about Valentine's, Adrian says, you're so correct. Years ago, we booked a very expensive Valentine's Day dinner at a Newport Beach restaurant on the water. So far, so good. When we arrived, they showed us to their overflow seating in the upstairs workroom where they had set up folding tables and chairs. Can you feel the romance? They had a paper tablecloth and napkins, while downstairs there were linens. When we started to order off the special menu, they had already sold out of several items. Since then, we take control of how we spend Valentine's Day. You go, girl. I know I'm right. Ken says, my wife and I are planning a trip to Normandy to see the beaches and then London, Germany, France, and then Budapest. I'm hearing stories that it's not safe to travel overseas, especially to France. Can you please shed some light on this? Okay, here comes the light. Whatever you're hearing, not true. Nobody should go without packing common sense, right? Leave all your expensive jewelry at home. You don't need it. Make sure you have copies of your passport, photocopies of your passport, in someplace other than where you keep your passport. And then situational awareness, whether you're in France or Philadelphia, it doesn't matter. I've been going to France since I'm 12 years old. I've never had a problem. And the same thing applies to the other locations that you mentioned, London, Germany, and Budapest. The only caution I'll tell you about Budapest, the Danube's not blue. That's about it. So enjoy your trip. Again, though, pack common sense. All right. Gary says, I'm flying into London in October to begin a trip to Paris and Normandy. Does England require more than a passport for entry? Well, I have to give you a dual answer to that. Yes, the United Kingdom does require an ETA. We've talked about this before. It's about $20. It's tied to your passport. It's easy to apply online. You'll get approved within 72 hours or less. But the European Union, not the UK, remember Brexit, UK is separate. The European Union is now saying that finally, after yelling about it for like 3 years, they're going to institute their own form of the ETA, stands for ETIAS. And my understanding is it's going to happen in June. They haven't made an official announcement yet, but since you're saying you're going to go in October, be prepared for that as well. It'll again be an online registration tied to your passport, but that allows you to go to all European Union countries for the extent of your passport, and the same thing for the UK for their ETA. And now you know. And now let's go to the photo of the week. How about that for a shot? Anyone want to tell me where that is? Congratulations to Sarah Packard. She writes, this is the view from the end of the trail in Borderslet Gorge near Voss in Norway. An absolutely magical place. And when I visited last April, talk about off-season travel, I was fortunate enough to have it entirely to myself. We love shots like that, especially when you can wait for it. If you think you got a photograph that matches what Sarah just did and qualifies for a photo of the week, you know what to do. Just send it to photo contest at petergreenberg.com. And if we agree, it goes right up there next to Sarah's. Okay. Last but not least, some housekeeping notes. Tomorrow, Eye on Travel, our CBS radio show, comes from the historic, iconic Langham Huntington Hotel in Pasadena, California. Then we're on the road, and I'll see you next week in Chicago as we prepare for the 2-day speech in Chicago on the 21st and the 22nd. So I hope to see many of you there. In the meantime, feel free to email me, peter@petergreenberg.com, with any other questions you've got. Enjoy the rest of this week. Enjoy the weekend. Don't overspend on Valentine's. Send all your chocolates to me. No, don't do that either. Anyway, thanks, everybody. Thank you, Anthony, for handling the engineering on this. And we will see you next week. I usually say from another location far away. You know the location now. It's Chicago. See you next week, everybody.
Peter Greenberg's live global travel update is presented to you by Colette. Discover the world. Guided travel since 1918.